Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The oceans of the world occupy 70% of the Earth's surface. They encompass 99% of the space available to living organisms, and yet only about 10% has been explored. To continue quoting percentages, 90% of this habitat exists in the deep sea, more accurately referred to as the abyss. Our one-shot scenario is entitled Echoes of the Deep. It was written by Matt Ryan and Noah Lloyd, and it's available from Reckoning of the Dead website. I'm your game master. Let's go ahead and introduce our players. Stuart, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I'm Jack Cousteau. Went to UCLA, topped class out, got a great offer over at Miskatonic University to help head up one of their marine biology departments. I cannot wait to see how our trip goes. This is going to be a lot of fun. Still meeting some of the faculty. This is going to be great.
I think you're the lead, aren't you?
It's going to be really great.
Wait, question. Is Echoes of the Deep or is it Echoes in the Deep?
Echoes in the Deep. What did I say?
You said of.
I don't know why I keep wanting to say Echoes of the Deep. Second in command, or second in charge, Kermit.
Hi. My name's Kermit Lefroig. Lefroig, like the Scotch. A lot of people get my last name wrong. It's weird. But I'm the junior marine biologist under Jack. I've worked with him for a little while now. He's a pretty rad dude. I think this is the first submarine trip I'm going to be on, so I'm looking forward to it.
Zane, how about you?
Hi, I am Judah Locke. I originally was born in Auckland, New Zealand, but I moved to San Diego, California when I was 16. That's where my mum was from. I joined the Navy after school, became a Navy SEAL, did a few tours. Once I got back on home soil, they were doing some tests for Miskatonic were doing some deep sea diving stuff, and they needed some divers, so I volunteered and been working for them ever since.
Morgan.
I'm James Baxter. I've always had a fascination with the ocean growing up, and I've also always loved to dive, and I've always loved boats, so becoming a submersible pilot just seemed like the right career path for me. I've been piloting submersibles for about the last 15 years on various scientific expeditions. The submersible I'm piloting now is Neptune's Promise. She's one of the finest submersibles I've ever had the pleasure of piloting, and I will be responsible for getting us down to where we need to go.
All right. The players are ready. Let's begin our journey into the darkness. The year is 2020. The USS Whittaker, a Lockheed Virginia-class nuclear-powered submarine, has just departed Norfolk Naval Shipyards in Virginia. On her present course, she should reach the Falkland Island in 9 days. Attached to the top of her hull is a highly advanced deep-sea submersible on loan from Miskatonic University in Massachusetts. It's called Neptune's Promise. Her crew accompanies her. So, as you all are being brought on board the ship, as it's getting ready to depart, you meet Lieutenant Commander James Byron. He's the executive officer, second in command on board the ship. Gentlemen, welcome aboard. Is this your first time on a submarine?
Very first time out here. I've never been on a sub this big before, Commander. This is an amazing piece of equipment you've got.
Well, she's a big ship, all right. 377 feet long. We've got 3 decks. Come on, I'll give you a look around. I'm sorry the captain couldn't be here. He's making preparations for getting underway. So taking care of you at the moment is my job. I'll show you around. The submarine itself is very efficient, very compact. You might find it getting a little cramped. If you have any medical needs, we do not have a doctor on board. What we have is a gentleman we call, he is the corpsman, Corey Lane, Dr. Corey Lane. We call him Doctor, he is Dr. Corey Lane, but he is not, he's basically a man of all trades. He is the one to see if you have any illnesses. He has an assistant, Matthias Adams. I just want to get that out of the way. We are on a classified mission at the moment, and we will not be surfacing until our mission is complete. But that also means that try not to have any major medical issues, because we will not turn around until the mission is finished.
Righteous.
I'll do my best not to have a heart attack.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll keep my fingers crossed.
If you have an appendicitis, we could probably fix you up, but we'll have to do it on board the ship. The command center has 3 levels. The captain is usually on the 2nd level, the central level. We have a large complement of nuclear missiles. There are 6 officers, 9 junior officers. The 6 officers have been aboard the ship a number of times. The junior officers, this will be their first voyage. And we have 120 regular crew. And he takes you into the mess hall. This is the ward room. There are 2 parts. There's the officers' mess, and there is the regular crew mess. You'll be eating in the officers' mess with the officers, unless you want to eat with the regular crew. The food here is superb. We have probably some of the best food in the military. And as he says that, you can smell bread baking aboard the ship.
Oh, that smells good.
He's like, yes, that's them making bread. It's actually easier to bring the bulk ingredients for making bread along with us and making it on board here rather than bring all that bulky bread. Let's see, the missile room. He takes you in there and you see all their nuclear missiles. The nuclear missile room is 3 stories high. And I realize that you're not part of the regular crew, so you're going to end up having a lot of free time. If you go up to the 3rd level above the missiles, if you run 3 times around, if you run 17 times around the missiles, that's 1 mile. We figured that out over the course of time, so you can get some exercise that way. The cook, we call him the Chop, and these will be your bunks. He shows you to your bunks. Now the bunks are 3 high, bunk, 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 on 2 sides, going down a very narrow corridor. And the bunks are just pretty much high enough to squeeze into and get some sleep. But it's basically you're sleeping in a coffin with not much more room than a coffin. There's no real privacy either. There's a curtain, but there's just a thin curtain between you and all the other crew members who are sleeping at a time. The crew run on 8-hour shifts. The officers run on 24-hour shifts. So they work for 24 hours and then they get 24 hours off.
Commander, do you know how long it will take us to get to the target zone?
It'll take us 9 days to get to the Falkland Islands, and it'll take us about a day to get to the trench. Let's step in here, and I'll give you a little bit of information on what the mission is. Part of the mission, as I said, was classified, so we couldn't really talk about it until we got here. We told the university that what we needed you for was to do some surveying for us in the Sandwich Island Trench. That's partially true. A few days ago, satellites, 3 NOS satellites, that's a naval ocean surveillance system, detected a nuclear signature. We can usually detect any kind of submarine, nuclear-powered submarine, wherever they are in the world, by finding its nuclear signature under the water. We can see to a certain depth, but the resolution, the deeper it goes, the less resolution we get. We detected a signal coming from the South Sandwich Island Trench at a depth estimated to be 5 to 6 kilometers beneath the surface, which is deeper than any submarine that we know of can go. We are concerned that one of our rivals on the planet may have invented a submarine that can go far deeper. And the concept of a nuclear powered, nuclear carrying submarine that is traveling that deep beneath our ability to detect or even defend against is too much to handle. We need to get there. We need to locate the signal, and we need to discover what it is, in fact. That's why we need you to be able to go down. It's moving. We detect that it's moving, not very quickly, but it's moving along the bottom of the trench northward.
Has geologic activity been ruled out yet?
We don't see any kind of geological activity. Nor can we tell exactly what kind of nuclear signature this is. Like I say, the resolution at that depth is not very strong, but we don't really have any choice. If our enemies have created, it could, I don't even want to think about it.
I have a bit of an odd question.
Sure.
Is there a way to amp up my life insurance policy?
I don't think that there's any danger.
No, if it is a Ruski submarine down there and they decide to have a little bit of target practice with my little submersible.
I think that there will be, well, I don't want to say anything one way or the other, because the truth is there is some risk. But we don't anticipate any great deal of risk. Your submersible is rather small. Even the maneuvering thrusters on it are fairly small. It's likely that a submarine would barely be able to detect it at all. So I think that you're okay. We just need a better picture of it. And your submersible has a drone as well on a tether. So you don't necessarily have to get completely close to whatever it is. Any other questions? Nope. Well, gentlemen, if you need anything, you can talk to me. Feel free to talk to the crew. Don't Don't distract them from their jobs. We have a regular maintenance schedule. We don't wait for anything on board this ship to wear out or break down. Everything is changed on a regular basis. So if you see men repairing things, they're simply replacing parts that have passed their requirement for being replaced. We have a lot of replacement parts, or a lot of parts that have been replaced that are perfectly good, if you know what I mean. We sell those to the Ruskies. All right, gentlemen. Please make yourself at home. We do have computer stations. We do have a library of books, not real books, books on thing. You have internet access. You will not, however, be able to contact or telephone out as we're on a mission.
Completely understand, Commander.
All right. So try to enjoy yourselves. It's going to be kind of boring.
Well, give us time to go over our equipment, make sure everything's in tip-top shape on our side.
Of course, you have access to your ship.
Perfect.
He leaves. Your submersible is actually attached to the top of the submarine. So you go basically towards the back of the submarine, and then there's an access hatch going up into your submarine. You can do that anytime you want.
Got it.
You know, if you want to, for those of you who've not been in a submersible before, if you can just crawl into your little coffin beds here and just sit there for about 16 hours plus, that should help prepare you. Not a lot of room in the submersibles.
There is enough room for 4, tightly.
Very tight.
Well, that sounds that sounds thrilling.
Just to be able to go down that deep, I've never gone down that far before. Been on plenty of surveys below, but not that deep. Judah, you dive. What have you gone down very deep before, or you're more or less shallow and mid-level deep dives?
Oh no. I've gone fairly deep, not that deep, obviously. But when I was in the Navy SEALs, we went as deep as probably just over half of that.
Fantastic.
Now, Judah, being you see that you've kept your physique up from being in the Navy SEALs, so you're gonna make that tight fit in the Promise even tighter.
Yeah, but luckily I'm used to these sorts of bunks and everything, so I'm gonna cope fine in the tight squeeze.
Excellent.
This coming on this sub's kind of like coming home to it in a a little bit.
And James, you mentioned you have a drone, 1 or 2 probe drones on your one.
There's a drone.
All right. Oh, that
gives you a bit more range of surveying because you can only go so far when you tether down. So that gives you a bit more leeway with your search area once you're down there.
So they're tethered out. So the drone has a tether that stays.
Our submarine will stay tethered to. Like the submarine can't independently go down that far.
Got it.
It has to stay connected to the mothership.
Yeah.
Right. The Neptune's Promise is kind of the equivalent of Challenger Deep. It's actually fairly large for a submersible, but it's still, we've seen in movies and stuff these little submersibles. This is much bigger than that because it's designed to go down into the Mariana Trench if it needs to. But then it's got this drone that if you get into tight spaces and you need to send something to look, you can send the drone in there and watch it all on camera. All right.
I guess I'm thinking more of those.
You're thinking of the driving bell?
Tiny, those little.
Yeah, no, you're
tiny
much
ones,
larger than that.
The Titanic. Okay.
So, What do you all do? What do you occupy your time with?
I make sure all of my microbiology, all of any equipment that I'm bringing along is well maintained and operational.
Okay.
And I offer James any sort of assistance needing with with going over anything. I'd love to learn as much as I can about our submersible.
I'm going to check all of our diving equipment, make sure there's no like issues with the gas tanks and stuff like that, and all the tubing and all that kind of thing, make sure everything's going to be okay if we do need to do some proper diving. Make sure we've got all that equipment. Yeah, probably just go over things with James as well, as far as how he wants to go ahead. Because in my head, once we're down there, I know Jack's sort of leading the expedition, but in my head, coming from the military background, once we're down in the submersible, James is head for me, because when shit goes south, he's the one I'm going to be. He's going to know what to do. So I'm kind of taking second command from James a little bit.
That's what your submersible looks like.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Oh, yeah, nice.
All right. So you're going to check your gear. You're going to check your ship. You're going to make sure everything is in order. Everything is in order. It takes you an hour, maybe 2 hours. And now you've got still 9 days ahead of you. So.
Oh. I would like to flag down, just in case I do have that heart attack that I promised not to have. I would like to find Dr. Lane.
Okay.
And Matthias Adams.
You make some inquiries around, and eventually you find your way to Dr. Lane, Dr. Corey Lane. He is at the moment helping to change out some part on the boat, on the ship. It's actually a boat, the U-boat. He doesn't look much like a doctor. Looks more like a mechanic. He says, what can I do for you? Do you have any kind of medical emergency?
No. But you're Dr. Lane, I presume?
Yeah, amongst other things.
No,
You just call me Doc.
Doc?
Yeah.
Well, Doc, just never can be too careful. Just wanted to know who you were, how to put a face to the name, just in case,
Well, technically I'm called Corman. And that's sort of a title. I'm sort of an enlisted man, sort of not an enlisted man. They bring me on board to do certain jobs that they need done, and one of those is doctor. I do have a degree, but it's not. I couldn't work at a hospital. I would have to continue my education to work in a hospital. Does that make any sense? I can do simple things. I can do simple surgeries. I can certainly I'm qualified to give you aspirin and things like that. But if you had a major injury, well,
well, let's not have any of those.
I could do what I could, but
you're a doc, not a magician,
right? And they're not going to turn around and go back. You'd become a casualty of war. Well, a casualty of not war.
Oh, that'd be exciting. Be memorable. Might be in like the papers or something. Or not. This is classified. No one will ever know.
That's the way that it is. He seems a very nice and likable fellow. This is my assistant here. This is Matthias Adams. He is enlisted. But he's just crew. So the way the place is kind of organized is you've got the captain. By the way, it's Captain Edward Telfer. Okay. You've got the executive officer. He's the number one. That's James Byron. You met him. And then you've got 4 departments. You've got engineering, navigation, weapons, and supply. And each one of those has a chief officer.
Would the engineering be the department that monitors our tether and assistance of our dive? It'd be good to make friends with them.
Well,
Real
no,
good
actually, I don't want you to have misunderstood. There's no tether. The tether is between the drone and your submersible.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Once you detach from the ship, you're on your own.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I was saying I was thinking of the documentary where they go down to the Titanic.
Right.
Like, they're connected up to it.
But to sort of answer your question, yeah, anything that had to do with the ship or, you know, the operation of the mechanics of the ship, that's engineering.
Righteous.
Engineering itself, I'm not going to give you all the details because I've got lists of names for all these people, but engineering takes care of electrical, mechanical, reactor, and the reactor laboratory. Operations, they take care of the radio and the navigation. Supply department takes care of the cook and the supplies and the medical corpsman. That's this guy. And the weapons department takes care of the torpedoes, the sonar, the firing control, and the missiles. And you pretty much have access to the entire ship. I don't know if they would restrict you going into the reactor area, but they might. Yeah.
Out of interest, before I left the SEALs, what was my rank?
I don't know. You tell me.
I'm only 35, so I'm not going to be there.
Chief Flipper. Excuse me. As I choke on water.
As he drowns. Oh no.
Chief Flipper Boy. I don't
Sergeant.
know. Okay.
Sergeant Locke. So yeah, I'd probably
now, so.
Yeah. I'd probably might introduce myself to some of the basic crew. So like when we have our next meal, I'll eat with the guys for the first meal with the officers mess, but then maybe for some of the like lunch and stuff like that, I might go eat with the crew, introduce myself around and stuff like that.
Okay. So let's do that. Let's move to a lunch. Now the crew is on a 3 rotation. The officers are on 24 hours. So there's food available in the mess pretty much 24 hours. If you need something, if you're hungry, if you need coffee, you're going to find it. Okay. You'll find different people on duty, but it's the same thing. They're there. All right. So let's say you go in there and you all go in together because you're probably going to stay on the same schedule. And Judy, you want to eat with the crew, and how about the rest of you? You can eat with the officers?
Yeah, for the first official getting to know the meal.
Oh yeah, for the first meal, I'll eat with the officers.
All right.
Yeah.
So you sit down, and the captain comes in, Captain Edward Telfer. He's a rather tall and thin man. So he's constantly having to slightly stoop down. He's gotten used to that over the years. But other than that, he's a fairly dignified and serious man. He smiles, but his smiles are somewhat strained, and he's very polite. but he's not particularly talkative. The one who's talkative is Executive Officer, Lieutenant Commander James Byron, his right hand. So James does most of the talking. What do you think of our ship so far?
It's amazing, gigantic. It's a real feat of technology.
Well, it may seem large at the moment, and it's certainly larger than previous ones, but give it a few days.
Yeah.
You'll find it is a bit claustrophobic.
I've already
Especially-
smacked my head 5 times.
Yeah.
Got to be careful on those doors.
Yeah, it feels a bit like coming home for me a little bit.
Oh, you were in the Navy before.
Navy SEAL. Yeah, petty officer,
Ah.
2nd class.
Yeah, it might be a little cramped in here for you.
Yeah.
SEALs are usually pretty big.
But I'm better off than these guys.
So other than the fact that the captain comes off as stiff, which maybe that's what captains are supposed to be, everybody else seems rather likable. You meet the chief engineer, Mark Meminger, the chief navigation officer, Kendrick Bailey, the chief weapons officer, Claude Saint Germain, and chief supply officer, Ruben Endres. They all seem like they're people who do their jobs.
This is really good food.
Yes, Air Force pilots and submarine operators get the best food in the military.
It's funny, you always hear the joke that the food's horrible, but this is pretty good.
Well, if you have to convince people to stay in a tight, cramped little area, this is one incentive.
Yes, I believe the Navy makes a point of having the best food they can, because we are not native to water. So.
On some of our longer missions, there are milestone points along the way where certain things run out, and usually by the end of the mission, we're looking forward to a good steak or something like that. So it doesn't last forever. So
who cares about forever? We're living right now.
It's true. You are literally in one of the most technologically advanced objects on the planet. I think I can safely say that because the more technically advanced objects are not on the planet, they're in outer space. But probably very similar in feel.
Which leads me to think of what type of technology must be on the craft that we're searching for, if indeed it is a craft.
It's frightening. It's a frightening idea that somehow another country, a foreign rival, could develop some sort of technology that would allow them to go so deep. You probably know well from the challenge from your own ship, the Neptune Promise. It's not easy. It's not easy to go down that deep.
So that would lead me
something to go down that deep and have a nuclear reactor.
Right.
So what in the natural world could perhaps create such a signal, if at all? Or
nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
No, I don't think you're going to find much life down at that depth. Whales don't dive that deep. Giant squid don't dive that deep. Now, the only thing is it's not moving very fast. So we don't know for sure exactly what it is. We should we should get, well, we have to get to the trench. Once we're at the trench, we should be able to pinpoint its location.
Oh.
And then we can get you in close enough to where you can take a look.
Is there a vessel there now monitoring it, or are we going to go in cold and try to catch up from an old location?
No, the only thing monitoring it currently are the NOS satellites.
Got it.
I think we've got USA 423, USA 229, and OTS 674 focused on it right now. So they can see it, just don't know what it is.
Well, we'll find it.
I've
So
still got my hopes on a vent, some sort of
how-
geological activity.
How
Could
deep is the sub we're in now?
In the sub that we're in now,
Yeah.
we are currently at 300 meters.
Okay, all right. So we're going to be going. I'm going to make note that once we get closer to actually going down in Neptune's Promise, I am going to be making sure that Jack and Kermit have full medical checks to make sure that the tick is going everything fine. I'm assuming
Absolutely.
James has obviously got the proper checks. He's a pilot, but the other two, the civilians, I want to make sure they're ready for the dive.
Well, the one
I'm
thing,
I'm a civilian.
the symptoms to watch out for in yourselves are the shakes.
Yeah.
If you find that you're getting the shakes, talk to the corpsman, and he can get you something for that. Because that's one of the first signs of it's kind of a neuroses that you develop being under the water for that long. You shouldn't have any. I don't mean to frighten you with that. That's you're only going to be in the ship 10 days. You know, these are things that develop in people who are under here for 6 months. So enjoy your stay. Please make yourselves at home. I know it's a little like being in prison, but you have video games and you have books to read, and we actually offer classes. In fact, if you wanted, you could teach some classes. I'm sure you all have things that you can share with the crew. You can talk to Officer Alex Bunder, and he can put you on a schedule if you want to take a class or if you want to teach a class. Be much appreciated.
Certainly. James, do you think over the course of the next few days, could we take a day or two to just go over the operations of Neptune's Promise?
Sure. In fact,
Really?
I was thinking I'll go find Alex Bunder and maybe offer a class on the basics of submersible piloting. At least can't give anybody any practical hands-on experience, but we can go over the basics.
Yeah, I think going down in a mission together, it'd be good to have good backup skills just in case of emergency.
All right. So after your dinner, you wander about. You probably manage to see everything on board the ship that you can see within a few hours. You get tired, you go to bed, you sleep. Next day you get up. You have a delicious breakfast. You do whatever you want to do. Did you guys want to teach classes or take classes?
Yeah, I'll teach a class on the submersible basics, submersible piloting.
So you do that, and you go over the information that you wanted to go over, Jack.
I can run through one of my earlier underwater biology lessons. You know, gill structure and
Sure.
yeah.
I'm going to take James's class, and then when Kermit starts his class, I'm going to go and I'm going to go for a jog. I'm going to go do a run.
Okay.
Yeah, work out.
So basically, you manage to occupy your time. You have some good meals. You teach some classes. You get to know the crew. You don't remember all of their names immediately, but there are females on board the ship as well. So no hanky panky. There's no privacy on board the ship anyway.
Yeah.
Those were very,
Which also means that as far as your sleeping conditions, it takes a little bit of getting used to, because these crew people work hard, and they like to relax, and they're all very good at being as private as they can be without making noise, without irritating one another, because this whole thing could turn into a big fist fight if they all got irritated, and that can't happen.
Which is why I'll very carefully and gently break the news to Jack, where it's like, hey, I know you really want to learn this stuff, but unfortunately, if anything down there incapacitates me, we're probably all dead anyway.
True, but still, if I can have a 1% chance to help out in an emergency, that's better than a 0.
Well, I can pilot a little bit, but
Good.
You guys aren't strangers to one another either, so you've worked together many times.
Okay, yeah.
So you probably do show each other how to do things. And
the heavy drink, forgot.
I know how to go forward, back, to the sides, and up and down.
Okay.
Remember, in an emergency, the most important direction is generally up.
Up, yeah. They just sit there, certain speed. Don't want to go up too quick.
So before we move on, is there any particular department or anybody that you'd like to talk to or chat with or learn from, or just nobody in particular? Okay.
Like I said, I'll try and get a good relationship with the crew, eat with them, that kind of stuff, especially those that are around kind of where our bunkers. I might try and chat with the corpsman's assistant, Matthias
Adams.
Yeah.
He's fairly young.
Yeah.
In fact, you find out that he's probably 22, and very eager to learn, and very eager to do all these things. The corpsmans, they're pretty much, they learn everything that they can learn. There's also mechanics and electricians and navigators and all of that on board. Like I said, there's 120 crew, so there's a lot of people on board. A complete mix. Some of them are quieter, some of them are funnier, some of them are louder, but they all work very well together because they've been trained to. All right.
Does anything seem off with the crew?
No. They seem very efficient.
Okay.
The one thing, though, that you have kind of learned is stay off the bridge. The captain is no nonsense. He wants a clean ship. He runs it. Perhaps you get a comment from James Byron, the lieutenant commander, that the captain is an outstanding captain, but he's a hard ass, and the crew is used to that, and they obey, and he stays somewhat separated from the crew. He's aloof, but that's typical of captains. They don't joke around and fraternize with the crew very much. But other than that, everybody seems right on, cheery, funny. They do what they can to keep themselves occupied and not bored and so forth.
Lieutenant Commander Byram, is there supposed to be a cat on the ship?
That's not a cat. That's part of the engine. Put that back. That's what makes the ship go. The nuclear cats.
Yeah, the nuclear, yeah.
All right. Day 4. Jumping ahead to day 4. what are y'all doing?
We'll all alternate and teach a class in marine biology because I'm a fucking amazing marine biologist.
Is that an official like university term?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I brought that from UCLA.
He's got an
Got a name
FA.
tag.
He's got an
Yeah.
FA.
It's on his name tag. It's after his doctoral letters and
Okay.
stuff.
You're teaching a class. James, what are you doing?
Let's see. I will probably be reading a book on one of the computers. Probably
Okay.
something about sailing ships or something.
Right. Kermit?
I'm gonna try and listen for whale echolocation through the hull.
Okay.
I'm just gonna periodically press my ear up against the hull and see what I can listen
All
to.
right. Do a listen roll.
Huh. I'm pretty sure they're playing Mambo number 5 in the galley. Huh.
What'd you get, actually?
84.
Okay. Well,
It's like,
what
it's
you
like
get
double my
is
listen roll.
what you get is a very distinct and rhythmic sound, a droning sound. That's the engine, and it's almost hypnotic. The sound. It's something that if you were having that piped into your earphones, you'd probably fall asleep without any trouble at all. Judah, what are you doing?
I'll possibly go meet with the engineer people, just to kind of make sure that everything's all good with the submersible, and go over like the plan if something does go wrong and that kind of whole situation. I'm also going to talk to the weapons guys.
Okay. All right. So, Jack, you're teaching your FA class, and as your class is finishing, you notice one of the men, one of the crew, who was taking your class, is sitting in the back, sort of doing this. And as you approach him, he doesn't look very good. He's kind of pale.
Excuse me, sir. Are you okay?
Oh.
Can I get you a glass of water?
Just a bit of a headache. Yeah, not feeling so great.
Do you think maybe you just need some water? Maybe are you still have some off-duty time, maybe to stretch out, or should?
Yeah, I should probably do that. I hope I'm not getting a cold or anything. My name is Ernest Wheeler.
Oh, hi, Ernest. Yeah. Do you think you need a hand back to your bunk, or do you think I should have the corpsman check in with you?
Maybe take me to the corpsman. Yeah, let's. I thought it was really interesting what you were saying about the way sound travels underwater. I mean, I suppose that's what our sonar works on and so forth. So you're walking down the hallway together. Jack, do a spot hidden.
Oh yeah, certainly. All my years of surfing comes to this. Yeah, 61. That's an amazing fail.
All right.
Dude.
You get about halfway to the corpsman, and the guy stumbles a little bit.
Oh, hey, here. I try to quickly brace him, catch him.
Like he's a little, and he's like, oh, I got dizzy there for a minute.
Yeah, we definitely, good call. We definitely need to get you to the corpsman. We're almost there.
All right.
Do I know where I'm going? Hopefully.
Yeah, there's kind of a sick bay, a rudimentary
Okay.
sick bay.
All right, so I'm going to make sure I help him get there.
You get him there just as Dr. Lane is fixing something up, and he's like, "Oh, what do we have here?"
Oh, this gentleman, he was complaining of a headache, just feeling kind of getting all pale. He stumbled in the hallway, so I think you should check him out, Doc.
Have a seat there, Mr. Wheeler. Take off your shirt.
I'll hang out, make sure he's okay. If the doc needs anything, I can act as liaison.
Well, he takes a look at him, has him stick out his tongue. Now, when he sticks out his tongue, you notice that there's kind of a greenish tinge to his tongue. It's not really bad, but it's icky.
Doesn't look normal.
And he's like, "Well, what have you been eating? You've been eating a lot of vegetables, or no, not particularly." And it sounds like his meal's ready. He takes off his shirt, and you notice that here on his arm there is a rash. The rash looks irritated.
Kind of like pink and puffy.
Yeah, kind of pink and puffy. And he says, "Will you lie down here, and we'll see if we can get you like something to put on that." And he says, "Mr. Cousteau, I don't think I need any more help. Thank you very much. Wash your hands."
Oh, certainly. So I go to the washing station, scrub up. If there's any sanitizer, I squirt it on, and I be on my way. All right, take care, Mr. Wheeler. I hope you feel better. You're in good hands with Doc.
Judah, you said you wanted to talk to the people in engineering.
Yeah.
All right. So you're walking around, you're heading towards engineering, and you've gotten used over the last couple of days of noticing people working on the ship, okay? Like they told you, don't wait for anything to break. Once this part is 1 month old, they replace it with a brand new part, and it just happens constantly. So you're used to seeing people, engineers and so forth, around the ship. So you're walking down a corridor, and up ahead of you in the corridor is a ship's engineer, and he's got his bag and his stuff to do maintenance work. And he's got part of the panel open that he should be working on. But he's not working on it. He's standing, facing away from you, with his hands and his head and his ear up against the side of the ship. Just like Kermit did the other day. And he's just not moving. He's just breathing quietly and doing this, and he doesn't hear you come up behind him.
So I'm gonna stop and I'll try and listen. No, I'm not putting my head on the wall, but I'm just gonna try and listen normally. I might put my hand on the wall to see if I can feel a vibration of any kind or anything like that.
You can hear the ship, and you can feel the vibration of the engines.
I guess I'll speak then. Everything okay there?
Oh. It's almost like he wakes up and he looks over at you and he goes, "Oh, hi." And he goes back to working on what he was doing. You're Mr. Locke, aren't you?
Yeah. What were you listening to there?
Just listening to the ship. Sometimes I like the sound.
I hope. Oh, okay. One of the guys is
don't tell anyone that I was not working.
It's okay. Ease up. I'm not the high brass. Okay. No, I was just gonna say one of my colleagues. He's the same. He likes he puts his ear to to the ship and listens. You ever hear anything strange out there?
Like what?
I don't know. You ever hear the whales?
Oh yeah, we've heard the whales. You don't need to put your head up against the wall to hear them.
Yeah. So,
Oh, I got to get back to my work. Thank you.
Yeah, you need any help?
Oh no, I'm cool.
Can I? Does he have his name on his jacket?
Sure.
Or anything like that?
Louis Russell.
Louis Russell. Okay. So I'm. Do I know who's the head of engineering that I'm looking for?
Head of engineering is Mark Meminger.
Okay, so I'll probably ask. Hey, do you know if Meminger is going to be down in engineering?
Yes, he should be.
All right. Thanks. You stay safe there, eh?
All right.
And then I'm going to go around the corner, wait for like a few minutes, and then stick my head back down the corridor to see if he's back listening to the wall.
He is. He's standing there with his hands against it.
Can I do a psych roll? I don't have great psychology, but a psychology.
Sure.
Just to see if it's like. No. Oh, that's a fail. No, that's a big fail.
It just looks weird.
It just looks weird. Yeah. I'll kind of shake my head and then continue on to Meminger.
All right. We'll assume you talk to Meminger. Do you have anything you want to talk to him about, or should we just go forward?
Just make sure go over the plan of if the boat goes out of, if we lose contact or anything, what he's gonna do and that kind of thing. So we've got the game plan.
Yeah, just regular stuff he talks about.
And then I'll probably mention to him that I'll probably mention that Russell might need some rest because he was acting a bit strange.
Strange how?
Well, I was coming down the corridor. He was like he had his ear up against the ship, and he was like leaning against it, and he didn't even hear me coming up. It wasn't until I spoke that he snapped out of it, and then I turned around. I came to look for you, but I waited for a few minutes and looked back, and he was doing it again.
I don't know. I'll talk to him about it. It sounds like he's just wasting time. It's not like him, though.
Well, I thought you better know either way.
All right, thank you.
That's right.
All right, let's see. Nothing else happens to any of you the next day. So what are we on now? We're on day 5.
So for breakfast, I just sort of mentioned in a hushed voice to our crew, like what I experienced with the poor gentleman who got sick and like the condition. I don't mention his name or anything. I just sort of mention it. It looked rather, I'd never seen a green tongue like that before with the ooze.
Well, the other gentlemen look a little concerned, just because any mention of sickness on board the ship means everybody's got to wash their hands. Everybody's got to make sure that,
I only mention it to the four of us, the three.
Oh, you're mentioning it to them. Okay.
Kermit, Judah, and James. That's it.
So you guys are all talking together at breakfast.
Yeah. And I keep it down. I don't. I mean, yeah.
You're trying to tell me somebody has coronavirus on the submarine? That's terrible.
Oh, it's 2020. Yeah, that's
it is
right.
2020.
And I thought we were safe from all the Well, you know, we're still probably in one of the better places right now. Probably.
Yeah.
I liked your optimism, Kermit.
Would Jack's description of the illness kind of remind me of anything? No, I've never encountered. Okay, that's a strange one. Do you think it's something he ate?
I'm not sure. He had a rash as well, so I'm thinking, yeah, it doesn't sound like a contagious disease. It does sound something like maybe he's an allergic reaction. I bet you're right. It's probably something he ate.
I encountered something kind of weird yesterday. Actually, I was heading down to engineering to speak with Mimiger about the game plan, and one of the engineers, he was acting real strange.
Like what? Like just nervous, or was he showing signs of sickness too, or?
No, he was doing a Kermit.
A what now?
Like a hi-ho?
No. He was doing a Kermit. You know how we all said it's a Kermit when he goes and listens to the wall? Which is, I mean, for Kermit that's fine, but for a guy who's meant to be working on
I always thought of Kermit somehow involved a banjo.
I don't know, Kermit, can you play a banjo?
Are you guys making fun of me?
No.
Most of the time, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, they actually teach that in marine biology courses, to listen at the walls and such.
Yeah, but he didn't even hear me coming up on him and things, and then when I did speak to him, and then I looked back, he was back doing it again. It was real strange.
Huh.
Especially if he's meant to be changing up the parts. They don't have time to dilly-dally and you know.
And he was just
I think that's the most concerning part about it.
Yeah.
I mean, underwater noises are pretty cool.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, if he's just slacking off, it's whatever. I mean, trying to occupy his time one way or the other.
We've been on this boat for 5 days, and I haven't seen any of these guys slacking off. These men and women, they're here for a job, and they're doing it. When they have the time off, they have the time off. I'm just saying, it seemed out of place. I thought it was worth mentioning.
Oh, so we have one guy that has a rash and another guy that's listening to the ship.
And a gooey green tongue.
Ooh, and a gooey green tongue.
Yeah, like a frog almost. But
so should we maybe get a flashlight and start telling each other ghost stories?
I mean,
I think you guys are maybe a little too worried.
I'm not worried. Just letting you know what I saw.
Now, you guys are in the mess, having breakfast, and people are coming and going. But James, just as you said that bit about we got a guy we got one crew member who's sick in the sick bay. A voice comes from behind you. No, we have two, and Doc Lane has just walked in the door, and he hears you say that.
Wow, your timing is impeccable.
He says, "We have two now."
Two,
just like the gentleman from yesterday.
Yep,
same
pretty
symptoms.
Much. Same symptoms, different rash, different part of his body that he's got the rash on.
You think it's some form of food poisoning?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to backtrack and see where Mr. Wheeler's been. Mr. Wheeler seems to be getting a little bit worse. The rash seems to have spread over most of his chest.
Well, I know this might sound like a stupid question, but would there be, any way where they were in the same place in the submarine?
Well,
I'm sure they were at some point.
They were in the submarine. The submarine's a finite place.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Jack, would you mind if I took a look at your tongue?
Oh, sure. Yeah, no worries.
You were in close contact with him.
You haven't licked any doorknobs recently, have you?
I don't see any.
I mean, I shouldn't have been. Oh, no, not recently.
And don't worry about Kermit. He always looks a little green.
No, it's not easy being green.
Does it look bad, Doc?
Jack, do you feel fine? Yeah, you feel okay? I know I don't see any greenness. You have any rashes, any itches?
I think I feel fine.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody have any rashes?
No,
We don't wanna-
yes.
Got an itch?
Nah. What's the other? You said there's 2 people sick. What's the name of the new patient?
Ned Groller.
Same department?
No,
good.
different department.
What department's Ned in?
Sorry, what's that?
What department is Ned in?
He's in electrical.
And then Wheeler was in what department?
Wheeler is in weapons.
Okay. Well, I guess the.
Have you ever seen anything like this before, Doc?
No, not like this.
And it couldn't be radiation, could it?
No, that's completely different.
And he has it on the tongue too?
I mean,
Also?
we're all being exposed to low-level radiation on board this ship. We have a nuclear core, but it's fairly low. You know, they didn't let pregnant women. Why would they let pregnant women on board the submarine? They used to not let women on board the submarine because of the nuclear core, but they do now. It's not enough radiation. Probably get more radiation from the sun.
Get more radiation off the sidewalk.
Yeah.
What did you ask the guys where they've been, how they might have?
Yeah, pretty much. They've. That's what I'm doing. I'm tracing back through there. They both come in here, but everybody comes in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, we keep hanging around Jack, so you know.
And so far, it's just the 2 of them. Have you guys seen anything else unusual going on board the ship? You guys seem to wander around a lot, so.
Yeah, I did see one kind of strange thing.
What's that?
Guy named Russell worked for engineering.
Okay, Mr. Russell, yeah.
Yeah, he was meant to be working on the ship, and he asked me not to say, but you know, he wasn't He was meant to be working on the ship, but he had his head up against the wall and seemed to be listening. He had no idea I was even near him until I spoke. And then I left him, but I waited for a few moments and then looked back down the corridor, and he was listening to the wall again. It just seemed strange. It didn't seem like the kind of thing that a lot of these guys, they don't slack up on their job. You know, if they got a job to do, they do it.
That's true. But, you know, nobody's perfect. Not sure what that would indicate, but thanks for telling me.
Maybe just
probably just
or something.
Everybody listens once in a while to the side of the ship. They want to hear what the ship sounds like.
Yeah, I give a knowing look to Kermit. Like, yeah.
Hey, whales, man.
All right. I would like each of you to do a luck roll. See who gets the highest.
17 out of. Where's my luck? There it is, out of 50. Yeah, so that's a hard.
38 out of 50.
47 out of 50.
I got a 84 out of 50.
Okay. So, Jack. All right. Once again, the rest of the day seems uneventful, boring. You guys tend to wander around a bit just to stretch your legs and so forth. But Jack, do a spot hidden for me.
I excel at that. Here we go. 43. Did we nail it? Spot hidden. Yeah. Out of 50. Boom.
All right. It doesn't strike you as odd, but there's a moment in the late afternoon when you're walking about the ship. You're heading up towards the front, and you realize that you guys are never in an empty room. I mean, there's always people everywhere. So you're sort of walking along. You've come to some of the crew quarters, and I don't know, Jack, maybe you're getting ready to rest a bit, take a nap, whatever. And you're looking down at the other end, and you notice the captain. And he's talking to one of the members of the crew. You're not sure exactly who. Looks like a couple of different guys. It's one guy. A lot of people look the same.
Does the uniform look like an officer? Or?
Looks like a junior officer. That's what your guess would be. One of the junior officers. The junior officer is handing the captain something. And at first you think that he's handing him a briefcase. But you realize just in that moment of a glance that he's handing him a big book. Looks like an old-fashioned Bible, a big, thick book, leather-bound. And the captain seems to thank him for it and then turn around and walk away. And the crewman goes back to whatever he was doing, and he walks away also. And like I say, you don't really think anything about it, but it sticks in your mind.
Interesting. Huh. Interesting.
All right. So other than that, nothing interesting happens. Next day. It's now day 6.
Are we having dinner with the captain at all?
Okay, there is something that happens. On day 5, when you go to dinner at the officers' mess, the captain's not there.
Huh. Interesting. I wonder
the executive officer, Lieutenant Commander James Byron, explains the captain is busy and he can't come. So he sends his apologies.
Oh, I wonder if he's reading that really neat new book of his.
Book? Well, he does like to read. I don't know about that, but he said that he can't be bothered tonight, so we'll just have to enjoy ourselves otherwise.
Yeah.
Speaking of books, anybody read any good books lately?
I just picked up one from the library. I'll give it a read and let you know what I think.
Cool. All right. Nothing much happens this evening. Next day, you're at breakfast again. You guys want to talk about anything?
Do I notice the captain?
Nope.
Does he usually have breakfast down here?
Sometimes he shows up. Not. You haven't seen him for a couple days now.
Okay. Huh. Okay. Well, if it's.
So what day is this? It's day 6?
You're on day 6.
Okay. I'm going to go check in with Doc and make sure see if it's just still the 2 cases.
Yeah, I'll go with you, Judah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious too.
All right. So you get to Doc's place, the sick bay. Now he has 3.
3, huh?
3 of them. The third one being Harold Pierce.
How's the first patient?
Much worse. He is covered in blisters from his neck down to his legs. And they have turned a shade of bright green.
Oh, I take a couple steps back, put my hand.
He has him somewhat isolated, and his breathing has become very difficult. Doc doesn't have a clue what this is. The second guy, Ned Roller, he is in like Ernest Wheeler was the day before, and Harold Pierce, the new one, he's like Ernest Wheeler was the first day.
And where's Harold? What's his like? Where's he work?
Harold Wheeler, he is in. He's one of the radio operators.
On the bridge?
I don't think it's in the bridge, but maybe wherever the radio is.
Okay. Have you contacted Byron and stuff like that to let him know that we possibly have the captain?
The officers are always informed of everything going on. Yes.
Okay. Because I guess it's kind of hard. We can't really quarantine here.
Like I said, we do our best we can, but I've only got 3 beds and that's it. So I don't know if I'm going to do it if somebody else gets this. It seems to be progressing very strangely because we're only getting 1 person sick.
Yeah.
A day.
Have you? What was Harold's movements like from yesterday? What did he do?
He goes over it with you, but it just seems like a completely different pattern than the other 2.
Did he ever have any contact with the previous?
It's hard to tell. Once again, the mess. Actually, they're on different shifts, so no.
Oh, each one of them's on a different shift?
No, the first 2 are on the same shift.
Okay.
Is Harold an officer?
Harold is... No, he's just a crewman.
Okay.
So I don't know what to do about this. We need to go on with the mission, but I'm going to have to make this somewhat of a quarantine area.
Yeah.
But if tomorrow 1 person comes down with this, then I am completely baffled. All I can think of is that somebody is doing this.
Have blood tests come back yet?
We don't have very good facilities for something like that, but.
So you think it might have some foul play to it, like someone slipping something?
I don't know, a poison, a toxin, or something they're coming into contact with. I don't really have the facilities to identify what this could be. All I can do is try and control the symptoms and slow them down, but I don't seem to be having any effect at all so far. And I'll admit, on the first day, I came into direct contact with the rash, and I don't have it.
Yeah, and I apparently don't have it either.
Yeah.
Granted, I scrubbed down and sanitized pretty well afterwards, but
it almost looks like acid burns, but or chemical burns of some sort.
Did they mention that they woke up with the rash?
They didn't say one way or the other. It seemed to develop at some point during the day.
So maybe if they're getting while they sleep. Oh, it's weird. That's very, very weird. Hey,
all
Jack,
right.
Do you want to do me a favor?
Yeah, what are you talking? What are you thinking, Judah?
Come with me. And I'm going to I'll obviously say goodbye to the doc. I want to take Jack to where I saw Russell listening to the wall.
Sure.
And I'm going to say, if you put your head up there, do you hear anything out of the norm, like anything that doesn't sound like it shouldn't be there?
Sure. I'll go. I'll go give it a listen.
Okay. Sounds like the humming of the ship.
Doesn't sound. Yeah. Doesn't sound like anything particularly out of the ordinary.
Okay, so that means it wasn't just something that was specifically to this.
Kermit, you are walking down one of the corridors. You step through a bulkhead door, and in the room ahead of you, the corridor ahead of you, there are two crew members, a male and a female crew member. And both of them are not only have their head and their hands against the walls of the ship, but they're actually leaning on the curve of the ship. They're pressing their bodies up against the ship's hull. And they seem blank, like they're hypnotized.
Oh, hi. What you listening for?
And they immediately sort of blink their eyes, and they look at you, and they pull away from the wall, and they're like, oh, sorry, like this. And they go back to...
Did you hear anything cool?
No. Just ignore that. We were just resting.
Oh, well.
And they look...
Okay.
They look oddly guilty.
I'll press my ear up against roughly where they were.
Just sounds like the ship. Do a luck roll.
88.
Yeah, just seems like the ship.
I haven't rolled outside of 80s yet.
James, you also are walking along a corridor when you come on a crew member pressed up against the side of the ship. It's almost as if they're trying to get as much of their body pressed up to the side of the ship as they can get. And they don't notice you until you say something. Then they sort of...
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay.
I'm going to go up kind of next to them and listen.
Nothing. I mean, just the ship.
Huh. I'm going to leave this person here and go track down the corpsman. Go get Doc.
Okay.
And lead him here. See if he's still here.
All right. So he's like, so what do you want to show me? And he looks and he's like, he walks up to the person and moves around them, and they seem to be completely hypnotized. And he's like, crewman. And suddenly the person jumps to attention, and he's like, what are you doing? Nothing, sir. What do you mean nothing? You were leaning up against the wall. I'm sorry, sir. I was just resting. He looks over at you. I want you to report for a physical examination this afternoon. You understand? Yes, sir. So what is going on?
What Judah was talking about. If we walk away and leave them and we come back, is he back listening to the wall?
Let's see. He doesn't. He goes away. He goes down the corridor.
Okay.
Goes away. What the hell is happening on this ship?
I don't know. Maybe there's something to it.
I think we should probably talk to the captain. Have your friends also noticed some of these strange things going on?
Yeah, Judah was the one who pointed it out to us at first.
All right. Why don't we all convene in the mess room in 20 minutes if we can find your other friends.
Yeah, I'll go find him.
All right. So 15 minutes go by. You all end up back in the mess hall, and the doc comes in, but he's got the executive officer, James Byron, with him. And he says, well, gentlemen, let's talk about this. We've apparently got some people coming down with some sort of creeping green disease. And we've got people who are putting their bodies up against the vibrations of the ship. Something is going on here, and we can't identify what it is, but we also can't turn around or do anything about it at the moment. We need to monitor it. We need to isolate it, but we need to keep the ship running. I tried to talk to the captain, but he is currently working on our navigation, and he doesn't want to be disturbed. It's just not a good idea to disturb him at the moment. I'm not exactly sure what we do. Please report anything else that you see.
Well, this is pretty serious situation, and I understand navigation's an important thing, but he's not showing any interest whatsoever, doesn't want to come in.
The captain is his own man, and when he gives me an order, I follow it, so I don't really have any choice.
I can appreciate that. I just think I haven't had a captain who would make that decision. The safety of his crew, health and safety of his crew, should be paramount. And I make it quite clear that because I'm no longer enlisted, I'm making it quite clear that I think this captain is being insubordinate without saying it.
Right, and you understand that the officer can't say anything disparaging against the captain.
Yeah.
So he hears what you have to say, and he but he can't make any comments on it. And they leave you with that. Day 7. Another person becomes ill. They're lining up one after the other, but always just one. You notice Mr. William Anderson, John Sanchez, Richard Walker, Robert Cooper, all of them at one point or another just leaning up against the wall, pressing themselves up against it in one corridor or another. All the other ones that you saw doing it are doing the same. They don't do it for long, and they don't do it forever, but they don't like getting caught. But it's the same weird behavior. The doctor becomes somewhat over. He can't do anything about it. He's trying very hard to control it, to isolate these people. But it's becoming, it's like the slowest epidemic, he says, that he's ever seen, because it only seems the real damaging one is the people with the green creeping rash. And it's one at a time. Day 7, same thing happens. Day 8, more people. On day 9, just as you are clearing the Falkland Islands, he announces to you that Ernest Wheeler dies. The first guy who was infected.
Hmm.
And he says if it's going to go in the same pattern, then they should be dying one after the other, one day apart. Day 10, you arrive at the trench.
Did we have our second death?
Yes, second death.
Oh, jeez.
Now, through the whole thing, the captain, and perhaps at some point you tried to talk to the captain. The captain was very, like he said, hard ass. He wasn't interested in discussing any of this with you, that he has crews that take care of these kind of problems. He doesn't want to be bothered with them. He has navigation problems. He needs to do the navigation. This is an extremely important thing. And you find that he is driving his crew. He is driving them to get this whole operation done as quickly as possible. He begins, now that you've arrived at the trench, to meticulously navigate the trench to try and locate this nuclear signature. Back and forth, he goes across the trench, trying to make readings, trying to get it closer. And finally, on the day 11, he locates a signal. And he, the chief the chief executive officer, he informs you that they think they've found the signal and that it seems to be moving, still not very quickly, but moving northward at a rate of only about 10 miles a day, which is extremely slow. And the trench is like 900 miles long, so you're fine. They're positioning themselves above it, and as soon as you guys are in position, you also notice that the captain's demeanor changes completely. He suddenly becomes completely disinterested in the navigation. And he chooses, now that that job's done, to just go back to his cabin and close the door and not pay attention anymore. So Byron's more or less in charge at this point. Excuse me. So now you guys come into play. You need to prepare your submersible to go down to the bottom. There are a dozen crew that seem completely obsessed with pressing themselves up against the side of the ship. And that number has gotten larger faster. There have now been, let's see, 7 people infected with whatever this is. Ernest has died, Sam has died, and Ned has died. So,
do any of the other crew members that witnessed other crew members listening to the side of the hull, are they seeing that as odd?
Yeah, it seems to be the most bizarre compulsion. All right. So the time has come. What are you going to do? You've got your ship.
Well, if 12 people out of 120 are listening to the side of the ship, that's only 10%. So I feel sort of confident pretty confident that we
got
can.
3 people have died.
Yeah. Well, still, if we combine those that are infected and those that are having the obsession with listening to the side of the hull, we still have over 80% of the crew that are.
They could shift their schedules around so that they're covering for.
Yeah. So I think this is still a good idea to go ahead with this mission. But if it gets a lot more, then yeah, we can't be diving.
Well, we found this thing. We came all this way.
We should do this.
So just go through with it. Otherwise, it's all been a waste, including those people who died.
Exactly.
So we go.
So yeah, we're up for it. Let's go.
All right. So where you are, there's still light, outside in the water. You get into your submersible, you power it up, you detach, and you start down. What you're heading for is 6,000 meters below the surface. That is going to take you about 90 minutes. Very quickly, the light fades to nothing. It's pitch black outside. There are observation windows in your ship. They're very thick so that they don't crack under the pressure. You begin to see, of course, the very strange blinking, glowing creatures that exist down in the darkness. Your lights illuminate strange-looking fish as you go down. And slowly you approach what you think is the area where this signal is coming from. You're in direct communication with everything going on up in the submarine. And all of a sudden, there seems to be some sort of commotion going on aboard the ship. You can hear it as you're talking to the radio person. Chief Petty, I keep calling him Chief Petty Officer, the executive officer, James Byron, gets on the line, and he says, gentlemen, we may have a problem here aboard the ship, but are you able to see anything? Are you able to pinpoint anything? And when you actually look out, and you are filming this, you can see a distant greenish sort of glow in the water far ahead down there. But the shape, the murkiness of the water here, you can't see it very clearly, but you're moving towards it. He says, we have secluded the captain. There seems to be something wrong with him. We don't know exactly what, but as soon as we can get this over with, we can head for the Falkland Islands and base there, at least temporarily, and hopefully get some medical treatment for it. And suddenly the communication goes dead. And it's silent for a second in the water. And all of a sudden, your whole boat rocks back and forth. And you hear in the water what sounds like a concussion of some sort going off. And that's it. After a couple of seconds, there's some crackling. There is a last communication from the submarine that the captain went to the torpedo room and launched a torpedo without opening the torpedo launch tube and blew the front end off of the submarine. That they're going down, mayday, mayday, they're going down. And just as you're hearing that, and you are looking out the window, you see this this green glow slowly heading towards the debris that is falling through the water all around you, and it looks like this.
Holy shit.
It's huge.
Wow. Sanity roll.
Sanity check.
Sanity check.
What the hell?
22, I pass.
26. I passed.
I failed.
Okay. If you pass 1d4, if you fail 1d8.
That's the first roll that wasn't an 80.
2.
All right. What do you do? This
I
thing is
turn all the
swimming
lights
towards
off. I turn off all the lights. All
Okay.
The lights. Just
Yeah, go radio
dead
silent.
in the water.
Yeah.
Full stop.
All right.
Engine off.
Jack.
Lights off.
Jack.
Oh my God. Did you see that? I have never seen anything like that. That's
that submarine that's up above you is sinking towards your position.
in?
So
Are we going to be in danger of it hitting us?
yeah. We need
possibly.
to give a wide berth. James, do you think you can avoid this?
I will try. All right.
Do a piloting skill.
Yep. I'm going to try to escape.
The most important role.
I know I said in emergencies you want to go up, but since there's a
Use
submarine,
your luck if you have to.
I'm going forward.
Yeah.
I'm going forward and down.
I'm frantically taking taxonomy
A
notes on the thingy.
40 is a pass.
Okay. You manage to avoid any debris that's dropping down. And of course, you're being very careful in your piloting, but the others, as you're watching, you can see that as this submarine is crashing down, that the whatever it is, giant sea slug thing, has moved forward and wrapped itself in part around the hull and is probably eating the crew.
Oh my God.
I think that it's probably safe, I'll give it to you just this way, that you managed to get your submarine back up to the surface. And I don't know what the protocols are for decompression and all that stuff, but we'll say that you do those all and you somehow managed to survive. You survived this encounter, you managed to get to Argentina or whatever, and holy shit. And that's the end of it.
Oh my God.
I might need to switch careers. Oh my word.
All right, so here's what it was. The thing is Galaki, or an avatar of Galaki at the bottom of the sea. And what it's doing is it's going through its mating cycle, which causes it for some reason to give off this radiation. And that's what the satellites were picking up. As you were traveling, a member of the crew, one of the junior navigation officer, Aaron Rumsey, was a cultist, and he had just finished reading what is it called? Oh crap! The something of Galaki. It's come up in a number of our stories. The Revelations of Galaki. And one of the magic things that he's learned is the creeping green death. And he has been sacrificing people one by one by giving them the creeping green death. That was the people who were getting sick. But as you were slowly approaching Galaki, you were coming you were slowly but surely coming under his influence. And the people who were coming under his influence would press themselves up against the ship because they wanted one of his spines to convert them into, a thrall of Galaki. And they just couldn't help themselves. It was amazing that Kermit did that first. I was like, that was just too cool.
Well, I'm just here trying to be a nerd, and that's how it worked, I guess.
Anyways,
I was trying to look up there's an actual name for it where if the captain of any vessel is not doing their duty, they can be
Dereliction.
they can be forcibly, yeah. And I was like, this guy is not like I was gonna be like, you've got to get rid of this guy, and he's not doing his job.
Yeah,
I was thinking that too. Usually that's the duty of the chief medical officer, and there was no chief medical officer. There was just a corpsman acting in his stead.
Up until that point, the captain had been pretty much normal, but then Rumsey gave him the book to read. And then once he did that, the captain became obsessed with finding Galaki. And then once he found Galaki, he lost complete interest in it and then thought about blowing up the ship and sacrificing all of his men. Completely bananas. Our players included Stuart Lively, Zane Fleming, Morgan Llewellyn, and Brian Daly, and myself as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to become a patron of our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure in the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.